Hey everyone, my name is Ben Heisch, and this is the new Voigtlander 28mm Ultron. So before we get started, I want to say a special thanks to CameraQuest for providing this lens for me for review. This review isn't paid or anything, they have just provided the lens for me to make this review. But I was just a big fan of Voigtlander lenses, and they are one of the things that I get A, the most questions about, and B, I am usually just most curious about. I've sort of partnered with them in them just allowing me to borrow lenses as they come out and whatnot to be able to check them out for myself and then provide some information to you. So if you're interested in purchasing this lens, you can go to shopcameraquest.com and check it out for yourself. Now, if you're interested, I already have reviewed the original 28mm Ultron, which I owned for a couple years and really enjoyed. Clearly, I don't think anybody from Voigtlander is actually listening to me, but this new version, they have definitely cleared up just about every issue that I had with the original lens and made some things that I actually even liked about the original lens even better, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. Right off the bat, we'll just talk about the look of the lens. It is really beautiful. It has, some really simple design elements. The simple 28mm on the side here. This particular model is the chrome version, and so I have it mounted on my Chrome M10. You can definitely see it kind of has a vintage feel to it without being like overly vintage styled. Overall, it just looks really nice, and definitely I feel like it complements the Leica system pretty well. Moving on to the feel of it, I would say the focusing ring is definitely a lot more stiff than the 28mm that is my Leica, but I will say that it is smooth, and it's kind of down to personal preference how much resistance you do or do not like. Personally, I actually probably like the amount of resistance that's on this lens more than what's on my Leica Summicron, as it's a little bit more loose. But yeah, again, just comes down to personal preference. But I will say that all of the focusing, as well as all these nice little dampened aperture clicks, everything about it just feels really premium. And yeah, definitely have no objections to any of the bits about that. Now, one of the best things that you'll obviously be noticing right off the bat is it's actually smaller than the original Voigtlander 28 Ultron. It is shorter, and I'm not sure if it is lighter, but it is super lightweight. I mean, you're getting a 28mm f2 that is this big. I mean, come on, that's super small. I believe it weighs about 230 grams, which again is just about nothing. It fits just on here really well. If you guys have watched videos from me before, passes the Leica balance test, basically meaning that this lens would be just no problem to take around, walk around with all day, every day, and the lens is not going to be the thing that's going to be taxing on you one bit. Now, as we're talking about focus, one of the things that's unique about this, but something that I actually didn't really like, and I'm not sure if I like this long term, maybe it's something I would get used to, but one of the things that I'm used to doing with any lens that I have is just being used to focusing 2.7 meters on one end and then being able to immediately focus back to infinity. It's a way that I just kind of can know what I'm doing without, worrying about things. So I'm used to just kind of pulling my camera up to my face, pulling the lens back and forth, knowing that if I am gonna pull something back this way, I will be getting the closest photo that I can get with the rangefinder patch. But as a kind of bonus feature, this lens goes down to 0.5 meters, which is 0.2 meters less than what the rangefinder can actually focus to. So when I first pulled the lens out of the box, started using it and everything like that, I took some photos of my kid and was like, oh my gosh, this is out of focus. This thing is not calibrated. What is the deal? I've never had a Voigtlander lens have a quality control issue. I was really worried about that. Turns out once I looked at the lens, I went, oh, it can focus closer than that, which again, could be a bonus, could not be. I'm not sure really how the internals of lenses work, but it would be really nice to have some sort of indication by feel, because, you know, Leica cameras are a lot about the feel of it. So I would love to know, here's like maybe a little bump or something like that within the focusing to let you just know you've hit 0.7 meters. And if you're gonna go beyond that, you're gonna need to use live view or some sort of zone focusing thing if you are going to be photographing with it wide open. Now, in terms of image quality, I have just published a video comparing this lens to the Summicron as well as the 7 Artisans 28 1.4. Those are just the 3 28mm lenses I had on me at the time, and figured, you know, might as well compare the three. And was honestly really surprised at how well this lens performed. It actually has some pretty interesting bokeh and things like that, but in terms of sharpness, it is phenomenal, and you're not really going to be needing any more out of a lens than you're getting from the sharpness of this Voigtlander. So if sharpness is the thing you're looking for, you can save some money and go no further by buying this lens over the Leica for sure. As we've talked about size, one of the other things that's, I guess, sort of obvious, but might not be as much for other people, when you're looking through here, the viewfinder blockage is, you know, basically nothing. You're getting a tiny bit in the bottom corner. But even as someone that wears glasses and stuff, you know, shoving this viewfinder into my eye as far as possible, I'm not really thinking that bottom corner is gonna be any issue for you at all to be using this. So, you know, the lens is just so low profile, so small, and I really like the focusing tab here as well. I know that they make the first spherical vintage version or whatever has just like an actual little tab, like a single point. But this one in particular is just really great, feels good in the hand, and yeah, everything about it just feels fantastic. So I feel like one of the questions I'm gonna get asked about this is, if I was in the position I was when I bought my 28mm Summicron, would I buy this, or would I buy version 1, or would I buy the Summicron? Well, obviously I sold the version 1 to buy the Summicron, but honestly, I would definitely probably choose this over the Summicron if I was going back in time. Now that I have the Summicron, I'm just used to it. I like the feel, I like the look, all that kind of stuff. But if I was either starting out and wanting a 28mm lens, or I already had the 28mm Ultron, the original version, and was considering maybe upgrading, I would say this is probably not even a stepping stone to the Summicron. It's just like another lens that's like it. If you want to check out the comparison video that I did between the other 28mm lens videos, things that I have, you can see a little bit more in depth of the character of the bokeh and the sharpness and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully that'll kind of help you make a decision between the three. My general recommendation, if you are looking for a 28mm lens and you have a ton of money, sure, buy a Summicron, buy a Summilux. But if you are a normal person that wants to spend sub $1,000 on a lens, you can't really go wrong with this. I believe the black version is even black paint, which is pretty sweet. And obviously this silver version looks fantastic. I would say the only thing about the black models is you still get the silver kind of ring around the front element, which I'm not that big of a fan of. So I do think that the silver version kind of enhances the look in that you just don't really notice that part as much. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below, as well as if you have any questions about this. I'd be more than happy to answer any kind of comparisons that you might want or need. Again, you can go check out the other video where I compare kind of in depth a few different photos taken at the exact same spot between multiple 28mm lenses. Hopefully that's going to be a great resource for you if you are interested in these lenses as well. And if you like stuff like this, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Like the video if you've made it this far, and maybe put your favorite emoji in the comments, whatever that might be. A most used, most humorous, whatever. Maybe don't get me banned or demonetized, but you know, show some creativity there. Thanks again, and I will see you on the next one.